Hello and welcome to today's video where we'll be doing another episode of Ranked. Today's topic, Disney villain songs. I've received multiple comments asking for this one, so thank you guys for the requests. Disney villains are so iconic. They don't all get the chance to sing, but the ones that do typically make the most of it. These tracks can be quite devilishly delightful. Let's get into it. To start, you know I can't resist my honorable mentions. The world's greatest criminal mind is a chance for Ratigan, or more so Vincent Price, to shine. A highlight for sure, just maybe not in line with my personal tastes. Mother Knows Best is the pinnacle of Mother Gothel's commitment to gaslighting her stolen daughter, and it's an entertaining number. I've always preferred the reprise, however, with its shockingly scathing and insulting lyrical content.
Likes you please, Rapunzel, that's demented.
Gaston is a Disney classic that I'm sure I'll catch some heat for not including on the main list. Similar to Ratigan's song, it's great, just not my thing. And you may still see Beauty and the Beast later on in this video. Savages is a bit of a tricky one. The lyrical content is obviously downright awful, but it's supposed to be a show of complete ignorance and hatred. I struggle with it because it's appealing in its sprawling epic sound, but it's tough to hear the words. And while the racism is purposeful here for the plot, it does come off a bit inorganic and clunky. The vocal layering near the end was almost enough to get it on the main list, but the competition was too stiff. Love is an Open Door is a unique one because you almost do a double take seeing it included on a villain song list, but Frozen's twist antagonist Hans puts on quite the performance here. A duet between a hero and villain is rare, even more so a romantic one. With those songs acknowledged, let's dive into the list proper. These are my top 10 Disney villain songs. This one surprised me by squeaking onto the list. King Louie isn't the most menacing villain, so this song has a lighter vibe to it, which I don't mind. I love the jazzy sound, Louis Prima's delivery, and as usual, the Sherman Brothers smashed it with the writing. The instrumental is honestly what got this onto the list. It's very groovy, and near the end there's this awesome scatting session between Prima and Phil Harris's Baloo. Kind of odd that Jafar's only song in Aladdin is a short reprise, but I'm just glad he has one at all. I love the way he takes Prince Ali and turns it on its head to humiliate and stick it to Aladdin. It makes the horrible turn of events sting even more. Jonathan Freeman really sinks his teeth into his vocals here, which makes this song pretty memorable even though it doesn't last for long. This is possibly the most iconic song of the bunch. Hardly any other Disney villains have a song named after them. It's different here because the villain isn't the one performing the song, but it's still all about her, so it has to count. The track is pleasantly piano driven, and I enjoy Roger's sense of humor about it all. His descriptions of the black and white haired woman are equally creative and brutal, and may even come across as too harsh. Until you remember she's named after the devil and wants to skin puppies.
That's an echo, gentlemen. Just a little something we have here in Louisiana. A little parlor.
It had been a hot minute since we had a good Disney villain song before this one graced us with its presence. It aligns closely with the plot-driven Broadway-style tracks from the Renaissance. If it weren't for the talking portions in the middle, I think I'd bump it even higher, but as it is, it's still fantastic. I love Keith David's delivery, and the imagery on screen during this song is eerie and enchanting, very New Orleans. I love the backing vocals on this track as well.
It's a beast. He's got fangs, razor sharp ones, massive paws, killer claws for the feet. Hear him roar.
This song is likely, and unfortunately, the most culturally relevant song on this list, and maybe in all of Disney's music catalog. It serves to ramp up the intense climax of the film, and it has a suitably dark and catchy melody. I highly appreciate Howard Ashman's lyrics in this one. You have to wonder if it reflected a bit of his worldview at the time, as he and many of us may have found a particular resonance with Beast's character and experience. It really effectively demonstrates the danger of faux hysteria and the hive mind.
An actor's life for me. A high silk hat and a silver cane, a watch of gold with a diamond chain.
I did not expect this one to make it this high, but upon returning to it, this song has such a nostalgic, charming quality I can't overlook. It's super manipulative, and of course, poor Pinocchio can't tell the difference, but it makes for a fun time. Honest John knew what he was doing. This song just reminds me of childhood, or even being in the Disney parks. And for sure, this song has the best lyrics.
An actor's life is gay. It's great to be a celebrity. An actor's life for me.
Heffalump or woozle is very confusal. The heffalump or woozle's very sly.
Speaking of songs that remind me of the parks, this track does that more than most and is a big reason why it's this high on the list. It has an infectious, experimental quality quite different from your typical villain song. It's not scary per se, but through the dreamlike medium, there's simultaneously a feeling of amusement underscored by a looming threat. Another great work by the Sherman Brothers that adds so much lore to the PCU.
Like fire, hellfire, this fire.
I've noticed it's become increasingly common, particularly for those belonging to the millennial crowd, to exclaim that Hellfire is an incredible, underrated Disney song. It's definitely incredible, although I think we can drop the underrated label at this point. People love to talk about this song, and rightfully so. Directly contrasting Quasimodo's gentle Heaven's Light, Judge Claude Frollo comes out swinging with this bizarrely upfront confession of lust and emotional torment. Basically, Frollo's down bad for Esmeralda, but he feels guilty about it because God is always watching. She was never into him anyways, but I guess he thinks if the alternative is death by fire, he'd look more appealing by default.
Choose me or the fire.
Well, he thought wrong. I've said it before, but I still cannot believe this song is in an animated Disney movie. It's truly in a league of its own. There is nothing like it. Steven Schwartz wrote some crazy lyrics for this one. I wonder if he was surprised that most of them were allowed to stay.
Poor unfortunate souls in pain, in need. This one longing to be thin.
The Disney Renaissance is particularly strong in its array of musical numbers performed by villains. Thanks to Howard Ashman introducing the Broadway style, this type of song was sort of redefined for Disney and became much more vital to not only their movie plots, but their brand as a whole. Poor Unfortunate Souls was the first of this new string of songs, and it was about as strong of a start as you can get. Not only does the track advance the plot, but it reveals so much of Ursula's manipulative nature. I love how she manages to be upfront, yet so conniving all at once. Ashman wrote some of the most creative, memorable lyrics here, and Pat Carroll brought it to life with a wildly vibrant vocal delivery. The visuals on screen during this song are some of my favorites in all of Disney animation, and I think that this line lives in immortality in so many of our minds.
Don't underestimate the importance of body language.
And injustice deliciously square.
If you caught my top 10 Disney songs video, you may have had a clue that this was topping today's list, as it's not only my favorite Disney villain song, but one of my favorite Disney songs generally. I'll try to condense what I already said, but go check out that ranking if you haven't yet. The instrumentation is a huge reason why I love this song. It's creative as it incorporates environmental elements from the scene, and it's also carefully restrained, yet it builds grandly as it goes. Jeremy Irons delivers a masterful showcase of voice work here that I can't get enough of. He's singing about despicable things, but there's such an attractive quality that Irons brings to Scar, I can't help but get a little riled up here. It's not too much of a stretch to say that Scar is purely giddy while relaying his plan for his royal brother's demise to the hyenas. Speaking of hyenas, they're a big part of what makes this song special. Their quips and backing vocals fill out and elevate the track immensely. Tim Rice wrote some bonkers good lyrics here. It's so wordy and vividly descriptive without going over the top. The green color palette for the visuals during Be Prepared matches the evil energy just right, as do the hyenas marching in a cultish fashion to the tune of their leader's murder anthem. It's sort of a weird feeling to love a song so much that leads to such devastating plot events, but they're events that are necessary and make The Lion King the incredible movie that it is. And that's the list. Thank you so much for joining me on this ranking of my top 10 Disney villain songs. I have the most fun making these types of videos and I think you guys enjoy them, so while I still plan on making other types of videos, definitely expect a lot more content like this coming in the future. Make sure to let me know what your favorite Disney villain song is in the comments below. Consider liking and subscribing if you haven't, and head over to the Trove to see more rankings as well as video essays, trivia videos, and reviews. Thanks again for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.